in just a second as we see what these teams have for each other and what homework they've done.
So some pretty quick bans coming out here, and they are targeting Zuna as that endgame hyper carry. They want to get some AD carries off of the table there. Yeah, but the thing with Cloud9 is their AD carry sneaky. He even plays like Jace in the bottom lane, so he can play whatever's left. It doesn't matter how
Jace
many.
in the promotion tournament too, so it's not like, man, we're gonna try this and be gimmicky. This is something I regularly play. So, oh man, and there, the pickup of Jace, so that won't happen for Sneaky, and that's some solid play already. That could be manclouds.
Yeah, so that was definitely a two-purpose pick right there for Vulcan. They want to get that in there for mancloud, and they also want to take it away from Cloud9. It's one that ranks really highly on the Korean list of champions that they like to go through, and that's basically the same list that Cloud9 uses.
And more notably, for mandatorycloud at the Jace pick, he is the one known to get the 16, 17-minute Muramana changes in, and that obliterates a team when you don't yet have the armor to counteract.
He's definitely a prolific mid-lane Jace player. We can also see Jace going to the top lane though. You know, Sycho Sid, he is well versed in his Jace play too. This is pretty interesting that Cloud9 are actually taking so long on their first two picks. I wouldn't see them being caught out by surprise by this Jace pick, but they go straight back to what worked for them already yesterday.
That Elise pick is big in two ways as well, because Sycho Sid, you remember the cocoons in the promotion? Those were ridiculous. That was pretty much what set them up to get back in. So they don't want Sycho Sid on that Elise. Another two-pronged attack pick as they get Twisted Fate for high in the place as well.
Yeah, so those are the exact same two things they used against CLG. High on the TF, creating pressure all over the map. As soon as he gets level 6, trying to roam, immediately make use of the first TF gank. The first one really tells a lot about how the rest of the game is going to go, because he did receive a few nerfs where we increased the cooldown on the ultimate, and so he actually has to make his first one really count.
Seeing what Xmithie wants, mandatorycloud, the pick's definitely a little slower than I thought they'd be going here, even for Cloud9, because they're a team that says, we're going to play this and we're going to run at you. Now they're actually kind of considering what they can run at them with. They haven't really been this slow in picks and bans before, so they're considering everything that comes out. Jarvan, Lissandra being picked up.
Yeah, Lissandra, we've seen such a great playmaker for any sort of AoE team that you want to make happen. She is really crucial if you want to have those reliable initiates. And we saw this mid laner plus Jarvan as your jungler combo before. They're great. That's how they shut down Scar's Master Yi yesterday. The Lissandra plus Jarvan repeated ganks in the mid lane. So now, High's TF is actually going to be under a lot of pressure, which is exactly what you want to do when you're faced with a TF.
And again, Cloud9 letting that clock tick down. LemonNation discussing with his team. He is the one to have that pad of paper in front of him. Like we said, LemonNation is, you know, the curator of AD carries in the LCS. He is the one to beef them up and send them out into the wild. And we have 3 of them in there right now, with Sneaky being the new one, and one of the ones he says could be the strongest that he's brought up here. This mechanical skill of this team is just out of the world. It looks like they pick up the Janna and AD carry right off the way with Ezreal.
Yeah, so it looks like they're going with what they're comfortable with, what's been successful. I mean, Meteos definitely very happy to go back onto that Elise. He was very excited when he did get to play yesterday, and you don't have to change it up if you're going to be making plays like that. Same exact thing here with Sneaky. He really had a fun time with the blue Ezreal, and Cloud9 in the interviews, they said they have so much more fun when they're playing aggressive, and that's when you actually perform better too. So fun is actually a huge factor for the Cloud9 team.
Absolutely is a huge factor. Right before my interview with Restweiss underneath the stage, he was saying, yeah, you know, the games went a little bit better today, but that was nerve-wracking. Like, it wasn't fun for us. We were winning, but it wasn't fun. And it is something that's hard to keep that mentality even if you're winning, because there's so much pressure. And that's not even game pressure. It's the pressure on you.
Yeah. And it's interesting that Cloud9 are using a similar strategy to what they used against CLG, because it's sort of similar team ideals here between Vulcan and CLG. They both like going late game, and they both rely on those the end game carries, Double Lift and Zuna. So the same sort of strategy should theoretically work against Vulcan that worked against CLG.
So how does Lissandra work? Because that's not one we've really talked about with where her power amps up in the game. If they're waiting for Zuna, is Lissandra somebody you can have with mid-game power?
So Lissandra, really her main weakness is if the other team has hard CC that can lock her up before she's able to pop her invulnerabilities. Either her ultimate or her Zanya's that she usually rushes. Because that's the only way. She's really squishy if you're able to lock her up with CCs and you can burst her down before she can get those off. But if you're not able to do that, then she really becomes a problem because she has so much AoE CC.
All right, the last pick was Kennen. He did go on balls in the top lane. We're going to be right back with this matchup. We have Cloud9 versus Vulcan going live just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere, everyone. All right, everyone, welcome back to MLG Anaheim. We have Cloud9 versus Vulcan going live on the Rift. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are a Vulcan fan coming off of the blue side, let them hear you.
Ooh,
all right.
What about the Cloud9 fans?
Oh, I should have started with Cloud9. You got that one.
I win again. But look at the invades going out. We have both teams getting into the red side jungles of their opponents here. And we only have Jarvan here, Xmithie, seeing what Cloud9 are up to.
Creeping right around, but they're doing the ring around the rosy right now. And it looks like they want to cut off that circle going straight up it.
And this four-man invade team of Vulcan here was not seen out by anything that Cloud9 have. So they are in there undetected, and they already have 2 wards down. So they know where Cloud9 are, but Cloud9 have no idea where Vulcan are hiding.
I'm going to call this the crusherizing strat. They are up there. If somebody were to go for golems, that's exactly what would happen. Oh, Tribush are down. Tribush are down. They chose Tribush.
Vulcan
Everybody's
actually have this
backing, though.
entrance warded. They know what's coming at them.
Oh, they know. Wait, stop your backs. Stop the backs. There they are. There's pings going down. It looks like they're going to try to swoop around here. They're still playing it super safe. They don't know where everything is.
So Vulcan are going to have their AD carry
now
and their support up top, and they've kept mandatory cloud there too. So the mid laner, it looks like they're going to try and 3-man stop this red.
So they actually hide on the high road. Don't choose to go for the red. I thought that would have been the better spot to hide, but it's just looking for anybody heading to lane, anybody heading to the
They
goals.
want the advantage in lane here. Sneaky's going to get crushed.
This happened yesterday as well. Cutie Pie was forced to get out of this situation. Sneaky is forced to flash over. He took Q already.
There's no follow from Vulcan, though. They were happy to take the flash instead. If they would have both followed over with immediate flashes and seen that come, they could have finished and got that first blood.
See what happens here in this top lane now. They have Sneaky out, so Zuna looks like he's not going to try to crush this lane down. They want to keep it. They think they have the upper hand with what happened, the flash being down. With the damage they can get out of the poke, they'll be able to work with that.
Yeah, so since they're still level 1, it's hard to shove the lane quickly enough to get it into the turret before Sneaky returns. So they're just trying to make him lose as many minions as possible just due to the other purple casters shooting.
All right, everybody, don't forget, if you are at home on Twitter, we heard the votes vocally here in the house. Hashtag VUL, hashtag C9, vote for your favorite team. We can see them updating in real time. Your votes matter for your team. Get behind them and give them that momentum.
And up in the top lane, Zuna is a full level above Sneaky right now. He's 2 to the 1, and there's no experience over Sneaky. They're continuing to zone them out.
And all the poke they get is going to be sustained here by this Zona. BloodWater taking up that heal. Looks like he hasn't really put any other points in yet because he's 2 Kobe. He doesn't have another point. But they keep pressuring. The heals to come out. The power cord always used to poke.
And a good job here by Vulcan. They're going to use this advantage, and you always want your Kog'Maw or your Tristana, either of those endgame hyper carries. Whenever you can get off the ground like this so quickly, it bodes really well for the endgame team.
Now, what kind of pressure does this put on Meteos to be reactionary in this lane?
So he is on a very good early ganking jungler, so he can make moves, but they're aware that both of this red side jungle was warded, so Meteos is going to have a hard time working his way up there.
Oh, he negates the lightning rush. That was very, very close. That was a perfect flag toss to stop the movement. They get out alive there. He's going to be careful. He didn't blow flash for that, so ball's still pretty safe in lane.
Yeah, and since we do have the 2v2 lane up top and there's the solos down there bottom, Mandatory Cloud actually going in on high.
Here he goes. The Ignite is down quite early, though. It can't be finished off as the yellow card negates the rest of the damage.
I was going to say, this is one of those Season 2 sort of setups that we've seen a little bit more rare nowadays, but it does mean that the beginning of the game will be a bit slower than people are used to with all the 2v1 lane switches.
Looks like they're actually able to put some good damage back onto Zuna now. LemonNation and Sneaky trying to fight back in this lane. The aggression really starting to throw through. The cocoon goes down. Good damage mitigation with the shield, and they will not choose to fully go on it because High was backed.
It looks like he's just getting a little extra damage there on the junglers, and Meteos came out ahead in that trade. But up top, if we return there, the CS has actually gone back in Sneaky's favor, and that's because the minion wave is pushing towards Vulcan right now. So they've changed into farm mode right now, and Zuna's just gone. Our advantage is gone. The levels are evened out here, so I'm just going to try and get CS here.
And really, the poke is what's mattering. The positioning right here allows Sneaky farm. He's not hitting the Mystic shots, though, so this is going to be a win trade in HP, definitely for Vulcan, but they're still being zoned out quite hard.
And it's really going to be up to the junglers to make the next move here. Whenever you don't have the 2v1 lanes, most of the action revolves around the first jungler gank here. And since we already had the Sneaky flash blown in level 1 and still not back up yet, they could return to this lane. Mandatory Cloud, actually, it might even be the mid laner going for the gank.
Counting those wards out at 3 minutes. They know there weren't any placed because there's no gank towards the top lane. So it looks like they're going to try to go in for this. It's mancloud getting in. Locks down Sneaky. A few more autos. It's not going to be enough. Yes, it will. Zuna BloodWater, first blood, but they continue to engage. The Voidoo's just missing off to the side, and they have to get out.
High's coming up the river, though. He's got a gold card locked.
Yellow card is locked in. It's going to be mancloud, the one to take this. He is on the backside. The execute comes in. Cloud9 answers immediately, and it may be with the double. Could they come up? The wild cards. Nobody gets the auto attack down.
That one almost got away from High. No, because he wanted to go with the blue cards for the more damage, but now High's in trouble.
Whoa, Xmithie now entering into the brawl. Looks like he's going to be able to easily get these attacks down. The gold card didn't come out, but it's not going to mean anymore.
Ooh, okay, so that all that action was actually started by a gank from Mandatory Cloud. We were prepping the jungler action up top, but Mandatory Cloud says to Xmithie, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to get things started. And it actually was not in Vulcan's favor. They're a little bit behind in the gold, even though they were able to grab the first blood.
They're really trying to make moves, too. Mandatory Cloud did that without Ignite. He had just fought High in the mid lane, which kind of goes both ways as the reason to why he went up and the reason to why it was all right the mid was safe.
Grabbing that first blood was pretty big, though, since they are the late game team, and they are just looking to stay in it for the early game here.
Looking like Mandatory Cloud, they're trying to bait this one in. We just see Xmithie on the outside. LemonNation giving some support to the mid now. As you can see, it's only the 1v1 up top. The AD carries as the supports probably to go back up soon. But LemonNation just getting vision around the map since the lanes can't. They're just too far behind themselves.
Yeah, and the flashes are still down from this lane. There was so much action up here. You don't forget about all the cooldowns that were used up there too. Yes, there were kills, but that means that this level 6 TF now can use his destiny to return to that top lane and kill Zuna, because he's basically sitting duck on the Kog'Maw, has no escapes without his flash.
I actually said they're trying to stop really losing lanes. It's not. They're trying to stop that snowball. The ward's going down. Like you said, Kobe, the best way to really stop those lanes from getting any more damage is the vision, and it looks like Vulcan is trying to do that tenfold. Already another one on the red buff to get that down. Behind the red buff as well for an escape fight. They are ready to fight just as much as Cloud9 in this game.
And that ward that High placed in the middle river there was so important. That saw Xmithie come back around. This is the second time they've tried to go through Cloud9's jungle to make a gank up top, but Sneaky was tipped off there by High, and he backed off accordingly.
And with the lanes the way they are, this is definitely a higher level of super awards at 8.5 minutes in. Another one coming down from Meteos on the other red buff to make sure if anything happens on theirs, they have retort. And they are going to be locking in here. He's actually drawing it, so the minions won't attack him.
So at least has an execute. Yes, he has the advantage in the jungle smite wars.
He didn't have his smite up. Getting that for himself, making his way out easy.
So Meteos actually, his combo there from Elise with the smite and the execute from Q, a little bit too early, but you're right. Since there was no smite from Xmithie, he didn't have anything to worry about.
So 11-2 to 11.9 is the goal. The kills are all even as it looks like both teams are out for blood right now. It has slowed down though. Like we said, those wards going out are not going to allow for much aggression.
And so there's so many wards that were being spent, top and deep in the jungles that the Dragon, actually there's a clear path there for Meteos. And since he's on Elise, a very good champion at taking early Dragons, Cloud9 could actually start controlling the Dragon game very early, which is one of the crucial parts to their success in their game earlier versus CLG.
Still waiting to see the next Meteos move. You can see mandatorycloud already starting to soak up those wraiths with Xmithie. That CS is 79-72. The solo lanes 75-55. Kennen versus Jace.
Yeah, Kennen definitely making good use of the Doran start. That's made him such a lane bully, but Xmithie wants to come even this one out.
He was slowed for that lightning rush, which means the flash to be used after. He's gonna have to be safe in that lane, but he's got the wards to keep it going.
Yeah, but Sycho Sid used his flash too, so it's pretty even trade there. Both Balls and Sycho Sid gonna have no flash down bottom, so those wards that they have are gonna be even more important, and we still have a Destiny available from High that hasn't been used.
Looking around at these turrets, there's like 0 damage on these things right now. There's really been no aggression towards turrets. There's been so much movement in between lanes and nobody's been able to activate really anything to move them forward.
Yeah, I warned you, man, when we don't do the 2-versus-1 lane swaps, it's going to be a little bit slower. But look at now, Zuna going on the offensive with Sneaky out of mana.
There he misses that first living artillery. Now he's got the sight. They're going to go in on this one. The shield is taken down. He does not have barrier. Sneaky's running Flash Ignite this game. TF coming in. We're going to see mancloud going invulnerable, but they still have good damage. Oh, he turned the other way and faded back.
Oh, he gave him the slip there, the old switcheroo. Good fake out by mandatorycloud. There was the Destiny from High, and we talked about the importance of the first one. They actually don't get anything out of it. mandatorycloud still has his flash even.
Oh, run away from spiders. Gotta watch out. Zuna still pressuring here, so this has actually been a tough lane for Sneaky to be in here. They were up a little bit once they had that wave, as you said. Meteos High returning from wraiths, but they're doing great. 76-60 on the AD carry lane right now, with that offensive to defensive summoner spell as well.
Yeah, and it's going to be even easier for them to bully this lane now because TF's not ult!
There it is, one more from Zuna, able to take down Lemon.
Because TF's ult is not up. That's what we're trying to get out there. Janna does go down though, and they shove this into the wave just in time for Sneaky to get there.
So this is big for Zuna, getting some kills, getting some assists. He's going to ramp up Kog'Maw a little bit faster, but that doesn't mean he's at his Infinity Edge yet. Still got some work to do for himself. High being very aggressive here without mana, and really, Xmithie's taking it. He just didn't want anything.
Yeah, Xmithie keeps on returning to this lane, trying to keep the pressure on. Again, the brawl down bottom has actually started evening out a bit after that last gank. Sycho Sid is catching back up against that early, lane bullying of Kennen.
Ward finally going down at Dragon. They clear off that spot we were talking about. There was just free vision. They could have walked in and taken that right out, but Meteos makes sure it's theirs still and ready for the taking. Zuna in lane, returning with the BloodWater. So Blade of the Rune King build there, forcing the Arcane Shift right away. The Voidooz does hit. He's going to be exhausted as well. Only a few more shots, and this is a for sure kill.
And this is why Zuna usually rushes that Cutlass into the Blade of the Rune King, because he can get the double slows there. That into the Voidooz really allowed BloodWater to catch up, but Cloud9 always the team that's
always
going to answer.
Answering. This is scary though, right? Your Kog'Maw's getting fed to a Dragon right now. The Kog'Maw's late game. The Dragons you're taking, it may matter for now, but not to that late game Kog'Maw.
And that was just a huge play there by the top lane, but you're right, the rest of the 4-man team down there answering at the Dragon, and LemonNation, because he went down to assist with the Dragon, they're actually just trading it for the top turret. So that's actually a decent trade there for Vulcan.
And they actually slowed this one down too. They said, let's let this wave get here. I want to soak up this wave and we'll take the turret when we want to. They're really slowing down the damage on the top one. Finally getting it now. 1330 is our first turret of the game. Kind of irregular from the past few matches we've seen this weekend.
And we almost have High's cooldown back up on the Destiny. We'll see if his second one can be a little bit more successful than the first. Probably be targeting maybe the bottom lane here, since Sycho Sid had used his flash as well, and they've been going very aggressive. The Kennen and the Jace down there brawling over and over again.
Yeah, we really have not seen them in the fight whatsoever. That build for Kennen, straight to the Haunting Guys, and it looks like he's actually going right into the Andres after that as well. He's got quite a team to dive into for this.
Yeah, he's definitely getting the early spell penetration. Flat penetration so effective early game because nobody's building magic resist yet except the Jace that's laning against Kennen.
Yeah, he's definitely not building selfish, that's how we say it, right, for his lane, but he's got to build that Hex Drinker, and it will slow him down a tad towards his damage, but he's caught up in CS. He was down by 20-some CS before. It's only now 15, so he's slowly closing the gap and can go toe-to-toe with Balls.
And look at this pink ward in the tri-bush. This is going to allow Xmithie to get into position, and it's dangerous for Balls here. The flash still on cooldown.
He goes for the escape. They don't get the pop-up. He is stuck right inside. There's the damage on the living artillery. They are easily getting this, and they are just feeding Zuna.
Those flashes we talked about, the brawling down bottom, perfect timing for that gank. And this is what happens when you switch your support and AD carry after taking the top turret. You also gain ward advantage in that area. They were able to bring a pink and open that gank up for Xmithie.
This is big. Zuna sitting on 1,300 gold right now, easily clearing out more vision on the map. So that means Vulcan is going to be controlling more. Easy takings right now for Vulcan. But for Cloud9, they're going to see how they can step this one up.
Yeah, they definitely want to continue this momentum in the bottom lane, get some damage on this turret, because once you change
No way! They take down LemonNation. You didn't even see that coming. These guys are making the plays they need to. A great bounty take going on to Meteos for the shutdown there. And it looks like only taking extra damage. A great catch camera, guys. They're going to be able to get that kill on Sneaky.
Whoa, Sneaky gets caught trying to run through his own jungle to support his teammates, and now it's going to be Vulcan closing in behind them.
Oh, Meteos trying to go in. It's High coming in as well, but the half health bars kind of make them have to side. Oh,
they're caged in. There's nowhere to go.
Sycho Sid coming in from the backside. They got these guys fenced, but this may just mean that they are going to pressure them, and mid lane could be theirs in a second here with everybody bottom.
Woo. All right, so everybody they just back off. They're not going to do any more tower dives because there's not
Oh,
quite enough
BloodWater.
HP left. BloodWater has no mana and no flash.
Oh, he's a ninja. Can't get away from that. Gold card. Show us your hand. You're going down.
Another good answer there from Cloud9, and now they're actually going to try and push this one back, but we have Jace here, and he actually can do some pretty decent wave clear.
7-4 now is Vulcan
Whoa.
just completely turning this on. A little bit of bottom skirmish here again. Sycho Sid always coming through the backside. High doesn't even have a chance to consider getting out. Ball's trying to go back into the fight. This is not what they wanted. He gets hit in the face by a regular shock blast, and they are probably going to be able to take it out too. 1v1 in mid. Sneaky finds Lissandra. Mandatory Cloud goes down, and he finally gets out. LemonNation alive in the bottom lane.
So Sneaky gets his vengeance in the mid lane, but Zuna was basically going melee zone with that Kog'Maw. He walked right up so he could get his very short range Cutlass proc off there, which is actually Blade of the Ruined King now, and he's just getting right in the face of them because there's no focus on Zuna. It was all on Sycho Sid.
True Shot Barrage coming down to deter them, but it's not. Zuna says, this is my turret, and you are going down, LemonNation. A few more attacks. Sneaky just coming around the side. Zuna pinged out by his team.
And Zuna does have a blue buff, but he's got to be careful because his active's not back up after that last kill from his Blade of the Ruined King, and that's really what he relies on for his disengage.
Looking around at the builds coming out. The Lich Bane all ready for High. So these guys, they build the Lich Bane still, even though they can't pressure the turrets that they want. It's Cloud9 who's had the turrets by then. They got the Dragon that they usually get, but they're not getting the turret damage whatsoever.
Vulcan are doing a good job of holding on to that tower advantage. That early switch of the AD carry and support back down to the bottom has really benefited them so much. And we didn't talk about it very much, but because there was so much focus shifted down to the bottom lane, Vulcan were actually able to get the mid lane tower too, which is even more important.
Everything has opened up. This means their buffs are scarier to take. They don't know where the wards are coming from until they get an Oracle, which really isn't in their cost buy right now. They got 1 pink ward and full up on LemonNation, so he's trying to get what he needs, even the double gold generation, because he knows this is a rough hill to climb.
Yeah, we don't see that very often from the supports going double gold generation. Definitely need a lot of health on the supports nowadays, especially if you are that Janna, and you're going to be the one that has to use your ultimate for the disengage for the team when Mandatory Cloud comes roaring in.
See, blue as build coming up a little bit here. Both. Oh, actually, Muramana already in that top lane at 19 minutes here for Sycho Sid. And just the mana immune, it was just built up, which is stacked to a good 168.
Another
only.
dragon.
And another dragon going over here to Cloud9. 9-5 in kills. The gold should be almost evened out on this one, just not yet for Cloud9. They grabbed that. They're only down by about 700 gold here. The fight to go in. Ball's getting caught up quite hard. He's not even really scratching. Sycho Sid with the complete damage of his ultimate. One, Kenny goes down. They're going to continue this fight. The crescendo onto high. He just got back up from the death chamber. Goes down. It's going to be a quick go for him. Zuna with low mana, not going to be able to living artillery. It looks like Cloud9 is going to reaggress. They go back. Hey, Kobe. Zuna stays alive. BloodWater coming out of the bush to help heal. And it looks like Sneaky made a bad decision on this one. They may be able to find him. The shield's coming out. Beautiful job by LemonNation, but he finally goes down in the end. And they're going to continue. These fights are absolutely ridiculous.
So that was because LemonNation used his Maelstrom to knock Xmithie away from the dragon, so they were able to secure the dragon, but it lost them the team fight. They didn't have that Janna ultimate for the team fight after, and Vulcan completely cleaned up, playing it so well. Every time you see all the portraits blinking, that means they perfectly played that team fight.
Absolutely ridiculous micro of your own champions. In and out of the team, back and forth. That's the results you get, and Vulcan has been doing it since the first second of this game.
And it's a very clear path where Vulcan want to go from here, where they want to spend their money. Whenever you have a double AP comp from Cloud9 plus an AP jungler, everybody's going magic resist, and you want to rush that runic bulwark as early as possible. After that last 4 kills for Vulcan right there, they were able to finish the Aegis of the Legion on Xmithie. Plus, we've got the Abyssal Scepter and that early Hex Drinker we already talked about. So plenty of magic resistance already, making this Vulcan team very resistant to most of Cloud9's damage.
Yeah, Sycho Sid didn't get over the wall, tried to do it, but he got pushed out. The trees are too big on that side. Sycho gets his blue. This means Jace gets a poke, and he's got damage under his belt so far for where we are at in the game. He's level 13. He's one of the only in the game right now with Sandra.
And we usually talk about, Vulcan being very end game team, but at this point in the match, they need to exert their will because we talked about all the AP damage on Cloud9. Their AD carry is actually a blue Ezreal, which takes a bit more time to ramp up, so the AD damage even from their one source isn't really that strong right now either, and Mandatory Cloud looks to try and pick him.
ManCloud throws that one on. Didn't put his man pants on. He had the dress for that one, so it didn't make it as far. He's going to put more strength into it next time. But I like the build coming out of Zuna here. This is one of the things that sometimes can come back to bite you. You usually build those really high damage items, the Phantom Dancer, but they're saying we're winning every fight, and if it does go awry, we're going to have the Static Shiv to also push those lanes out. They still have all their turrets in this game.
I love the Static Shiv because it's a great pickup when you still have all of your outer turrets up and you want that wave control. There is some more, but AoE now. Meteos does get engaged upon, but he's got Repel.
This is not what you want, though. You don't want to always be playing scared. Cloud9 didn't even want to help Meteos with the full capacity they had.
Mandatory Cloud did not hesitate with that Frozen Tomb.
Oh my god.
As soon as she repelled back down.
That Sneaky had health a second ago, and then he got hit by 2 things. The Void Ooze and a Shock Blast that I don't even think went through a gate that time. It probably did because he's off to the side, and that would just be the applicable way to do it. But half health, lower than that after, is, like I said, making them fight scared, and it's not something that Cloud9 has had to deal with.
We haven't seen this from any Cloud9 games. They're getting dominated in this very early 20-minute mark here. Vulcan are just crushing because of this very early snowball lead that they were able to do with that Kog'Maw and Sona.
When you've never gotten to taste your own medicine, sometimes it's hard to react to it, Kobe. This is what they do to every team. Cloud9 is a team in the NALCS with that 29-minute game average, and they've shown it this weekend. But right now, it doesn't seem like they know how to fight against it. The shot's coming in. Meteos there with a cocoon. If it wasn't Meteos, it just balls and high. That would have been another kill.
Very, very close right there. You can see how aggressive Zuna has been playing when he got that upper hand because of the level advantage. This just goes to show how important the early levels are. Level 2 Kog'Maw in lane versus the level 1 Ezreal. It just completely shut them down, and Vulcan have not let up.
See where they're going. Definitely getting their hands into the jungle of Cloud9, and they really don't own much of the jungle right now. After all 3 of those turrets are down and we saw so much ward coverage in the early game, Vulcan's been able to keep that consistent.
They've done such a good job of keeping up that vision, and the Oracle's there, definitely paying for itself. But you know what else is paying for itself? The Bulwark, finally completed here for Vulcan. Their team fight is ridiculous right now.
You got it. There's hybrid AP, there's a lot of AP, a full team of AP coming from Cloud9. So with being a slightly behind, that puts them even more in that position. The Abyssal Scepter and the Zanya is now ready for the huge mandatory cloud initiation. The Zanya's still being built up. They have the rod, but not even a Seekers on Kennen. So they are far from that full initiation that they want. And they're all going in knowing they might have to blow flash to get out.
Yeah, and you can tell Cloud9 are kind of running scared at this point. You don't usually see this from them. They're trying to split push there, make use of the TF, and Meteos trying to keep up pressure down bottom, but he's getting chased off.
So high in the top lane, trying not to consider this. Now trying to use the Lich Bane, rushing that Seeker's arm guard after so we can start to make the impact plays with TF. So they're going top for inhibitor?
An outer turret is not worth an inhibitor turret!
They're gonna go for it! They may not even get that top turret, he's gonna back right now! Oh, LemonNation almost going down to the Ignite, but he lives with a sliver of health. It's gonna be high back in the base, he's gonna stay alive, throws down the ultimate to deter the action, but it's not even gonna be the aggression like I said, Kobe.
Vulcan have to be careful though. Failed tower dives are how you throw these games when you're up 14-5. That's exactly what Cloud9 are looking for.
Feeling too good can get you into trouble. Can absolutely get you
They're able to get out here, but look at these recalls. Meteos is looking at them, but they can't get close enough to stop it.
Whoa, they have to be scary here. There's people recalling. That TF is down. All right, I lied. They don't have to be worried about anything. They're fine in the middle.
Zuna's so aggressive still. You can tell he's always on the front lines with that Kog'Maw. You'll almost never see that, and it really has to do with how confident he was because of that early lane phase advantage. But again, another dragon pinged out. Cloud9 have put so much focus on the dragons this weekend, and they're going for another one.
Oh, this time they get a little bit of deterrent here. It's going to be coming in. It's Meteos stuck inside the den. Meteos does that flash up. He has that repel so he can make some moves to keep himself alive. It's only going to be the flash. Now the repel is used and he can't go back over. They are going to continue. Meteos very low, actually gets himself out to Golem. They are going to keep running here. Lissandra's going to pick up that kill in the bottom lane. Xmithie onto balls as we saw towards the blue buff. And these guys are just running amok right now.
So Cloud9 success. They got their dragon that they've been so much onto. But again, they pay for it with 2 lives of their teammates. And now Vulcan can actually turn towards this Baron. It's 26 minutes, so that still does a ridiculous amount of damage. And it's hard to tank that out.
That Blade of the Ruin King percent damage, shredding down the objectives. They are going to take this. Wait, the Howling Gale is coming up. Wait a minute, LemonNation's on the outside and he's done it before.
It's a level 1 Howling Gale. We'll see if he can do it again.
It doesn't look like he's going to put his hand in this mix. The turrets will go down, but it's for a Baron. And Cloud9, you can see this. They're taking turret shots. They're like, attack. Oh my God, move, attack. Quick, take the turret down. We got it. Now we got to run.
Oh, they better run really quick too, because Sona's going to constantly be applying that speed boost.
Oh, here they go. Lissandra gets the ultimate. One goes down. The follow-up from the living artillery. Bang, bang, boom. High goes down, and it's going to be 3. There's the damage on the Lemon. Zuna's got a pinpoint accuracy shot, and he gets a double kill.
Zuna showing why Kog'Maw is his second favorite AD carry right there. Artillery is the perfect word for it. Not missing one of those shots.
I could not believe the power that Vulcan is playing with right now. Cloud9 has never had a chance where they didn't know what to do. The counter logic game, they found ways to slightly stop that aggression, but this is just out of this world from Vulcan right now.
This is why people are so scared of Vulcan. They always mention them in the top 3 of the LCS right now. They're beating Cloud9 at their own game right now.
48% to 52 on the polls, Kobe. Even the amount of voters are almost half. 30 and above Hashtag Vulcan, hashtag Cloud9. Get behind your teams. That C9 hashtag. Xmithie and team about to take this top turret, and they have so much turret damage. They still have those outer turrets, but the mid lane has been hit, which means Cloud9 is going to have a comeback fight down the mid lane if it happens. That's the only way they're getting through that front door.
Oh, there's the TF ultimate, but they're still grouped up. This is 5 vs 5. You can't go on a Baroned up Vulcan right now.
No, that was a really great dodge out by them. I'm saying more safety for what High and his team wanted to do. Push out, try to grab a turret here.
Yeah, so they were hoping to catch a few members of Vulcan already recalled so they could just pick off 3, but since everyone was sticking together, they couldn't get it.
There's a really great ward on the other side. Keeps that mandatory cloud initiation from being too effective. High gets out, great flash there by High. This King's kind of going back and forth, and nobody's really into the fight yet. There it is! They go back on a Sneaky. The flashes or the arcane shift out. Nobody's gone down yet. Zuna very low on the back line. He is going to be the first one to go, but a Cathian surprise is going to do some nice backline damage. They won't. Yes, they follow up the shock blast. Look behind. The rampage coming in for Sycho Sid.
Vulcan a little bit too overconfident there. They missed their AoE CCs, and the crescendo was used on Balls alone before Balls had actually used his Slicing Maelstrom, and so then he was able to go back in after that and grab Zuna in the Slicing Maelstrom, allowing Meteos to follow that one up. Perfect play there from Cloud9 is exactly what they wanted. They got 3 Baron buffs down.
So we may learn something about Cloud9 here is how they play in the late game, Kobe. We saw them actually struggle in a game that was pulled to late, which they did put under their belts as a victory, but it was not this far behind. They're only 2,000 gold behind, but the amount of items that Zuna has right now compared to a blue buff Ezreal that did somewhat fall behind is big.
And you can tell, look, Zuna's going for that Infinity Edge after this. He already has the extra crit chance from that static shift, so once he's able to complete that, you have the ridiculous power spike from that Kog'Maw. Whenever he pops his W, he's going to have the range to complement it as well. And it's going to be hard for Cloud9 to get any more team fights like they just had.
And you look at the inventory of Cloud9, they've had a few ticks at their base. They're not even ready to buy home guards yet. Actually, High just grabbed his as he left the base, so he makes me a liar, but they're all really working it. And with those double generation gold items coming in, I was going to say the Morellonomicon for LemonNation, but I didn't think it was going to be this soon. They're trying to put the damage back into their fights.
Because both of their solo laners had to go with those Zanya's hourglasses, so they haven't been adding a lot of the damage, and it needs to come from somewhere else. The blue Ezreal build, though, at least that one does have the 3 main parts, and he's going to be working on that Last Whisper next.
Zuna doesn't have the Last Whisper. Oh, going to the back line. No, he does not choose to accept the claw. Stays back. Mandatory Cloud just being a little bit of a harasser. Cloud9 taking so much poke damage. Jason's shock blasts are hitting 3 to 4 people every time.
And they still have a couple Baron buffs there. They've got 2 Baron buffs on their solo laners, plus a Sona constantly healing them back up. So they have the regen for these sieges.
See what they can do if they keep moving in on this turret. No, not enough minions just yet, but they do have a mid-wave of super minions going in. Where are they going to be TF ulting to? They have to see the vision.
Yeah, look how Vulcan immediately cluster up as soon as the Destiny goes off. And perfect reaction right there, and they do get a few more free hits onto the turret.
I cannot imagine how loud Zuna is in that booth right now. I think his team may need earplugs. 20-8 is the score. 31 minutes into this matchup. The turrets are 7-3. Unheard of for Cloud9 to be in this position at this point in the game, but we'll see if they can come back. It's still anybody's match. There really isn't definitive fights coming out. Cloud9 is starting to sway these.
It'll be very interesting if they actually go for a fight here.
Oh, Sneaky was the... Oh my God! Sneaky tries to go in. They initiate, but they disengage perfectly. Can they get back into this? The Slicing Maelstrom doing good damage, but it's a good disengage as well. Sycho Sid on point with those shot blasts. Gets himself in. Whoa, didn't go into that hammer for him. Sid goes down to the Ignite of High, and it looks like, again, they have the ability to sway the fight. Whoa, High, what are you doing? He thinks he can make the plays. The Zanya's there, and he does exactly what he needs to. They're going to get the Iceborne Gauntlet slow. It's going to be Xmithie throwing himself into the frying pan to keep the team alive, but Mandatory Cloud goes in. Triple kill for High. Wow, double kill of Cathian, surprise, and it's Mandatory Cloud going down. Meteos, you are the last man standing.
Mandatory Cloud goes in. You think he's a crazy man for going one person in there, but the Cathian surprise. Zuna still had his passive there, and the true damage does work, getting them 2 more kills. So even after that very poorly played overextension into the tower, Vulcan come out, not too bad, only 4 for 5.
Just taking a second. Taking a second. The death timer is now ticking out. Everybody to get back up. Let's look at these item builds. Last Whisper on Jace. Sycho Sid has just been a pest, a thorn in the side of Cloud9. He's always in the fog of war. They really need to start warding up more. They're in a blackout in their jungle right now.
Yeah, you talk about Sycho Sid being a pest and his amazing poke that comes with those Jace picks, but we haven't seen so many Kog'Maws that we forget about the artillery there. That's amazing poke as well. Once you get that up and you're level 18, the last rank of it, then you get so much range on it. It's even longer than those accelerated shock blasts. So Zuna definitely doing his part with the poke game as well. So like I said, he got a little hyphy in that last one, went into the turret there, and that kind of turned around the entire team fight. But the next Baron, Vulcan can actually draw Cloud9 away from their base, or they could just go straight up the middle towards the exposed inhibitor.
Seeing that 33-46 for Baron to come back up, so we do have him back. The ping is in. Zuna's just crushing out some damage right now, that percent damage from his W as well. They're going to be able to try and get this. LemonNation on the backside. The Oracle's not there to clear. Vulcan making a very smart decision here.
Yep, they got the Destiny out, so that's a big cooldown that's actually going to be down there. And now they're going to change their minds, and they're heading towards the exposed inhibitor.
Trying to make their way over to this. Cannot pinch them in though. Staying in the jungle. Looks like Cloud9 was able to get a few of those wards out to keep themselves safe and pretty to the positioning. Zuna puts the cleanse on. Can't get out, gets bounced up. The Kartsoma, they did hit him. He goes down to the hands of Sneaky. The crescendo back across, and an extreme amount of front end burst coming in from Vulcan on this fight. Ball's really not putting out too much there. He does try to activate the W to get the stuns off, but Vulcan coming out 2-3 on that one.
Zuna needs to calm down. He's still playing very aggressive like it's the early game. He's on the front lines, and he definitely paid for that one. Cost Vulcan 2 lives right there, even though they came out 2 for 3.
Zuna's actually gone with distortion boots as well. He's saying, man, I need those summoners right away.
Yeah, he needs his flashes because he keeps putting himself in the front lines, and he's out of position.
A lot of bursts now to come in. The huge damage build, the Deathfire Grasp, the Abyssal Scepter to also help the Kog'Maw damage coming in so much. You see the Crescendos doing damage as well just across the front because they do damage, but they're coordinating them with the Cataclysm so well.
We are watching Vulcan throw this game right now. Before your eyes, people, look at the gold lead. It's come back almost even again. Cloud9 right back in this one, even though they had that middle inhibitor taken so early. They've been able to get right back in this one, and Zuna is definitely going to have to watch his positioning from now on because they need that fed Kog'Maw to be firing from the black lines the whole team fight.
Let's see what they try to produce with movement now on this. Wards in the top side for Cloud9. The Oracle's finally on to LemonNation. We haven't seen one in quite a while. The Shurelya's that he's had from those double gold generations with his Morellonomicon, always a disengage. The fights have been at the front door of their base, which kind of helps because you are squeezing everybody into that group. They do have a bit of AoE poke to come in, through Shot Barrage coming through, balls to come through with Slicing Maelstrom. So it's almost like they want him at the front of the base for the fight.
Mm-hmm. And LemonNation also has the AoE disengage there, so they do have the answer with that the Janna ultimate, the Monsoon. Maelstrom, Monsoon, so many storms on this Cloud9 team.
All the weather.
Go figure.
27-15 is the kill score, but it is not phasing Cloud9. As Kobe said, really starting to make a comeback in this match. We see the polls on Twitter have flexed in the way of Vulcan at 53% to 47 of that Cloud9 in first place.
And you can see the change in mentality from Cloud9 too. They've gone very offensive with their item builds now. 2 death caps completed.
2 death caps, 2 Zanyas. The Zanyas goes out, he doesn't even use it. What just happened? We did an Iron Lung for high. 59 seconds on the death timers. Will they have enough to get to the turrets though? The fight may just mean deaths and kills. Mandatory Cloud not choosing to go back in. Xmithie very low. There are health bars dripping blood from these champions right now. There's the shot onto Xmithie. Sneaky pulling another one in. Looks like they're going to disengage, but both teams know these fights could go either way. They're so weary.
That right there is why so many people complain about blue buff Ezreal, the annoyance factor of the constant slows from those Frozen Fist procs.
Yeah, we'll call it a Frozen Fist. 7-3 in turrets. Vulcan
That's
still,
what they used to call it.
Yes, indeed. Vulcan still trying to push through wards all across the back side for Cloud9. They want to make sure that nothing comes from that entrance. They have the ward in mid as well. The pink ward about to be taken out so they can ward that mid bush. So they pretty much have everything they need right now.
They're going for the sneak.
Well, they do have sneaky. They have the damage too. Wow, they are shredding this down right now. Meteos able to do some damage too. The executes fight. Oh my god, the power torch steal. I wouldn't have put it against or past him. LemonNation, good damage on the backside. Sycho Sid goes down. Vulcan tried to walk into this one by one.
Cloud9, they pull off the sneaky Baron, and then they're also rewarded with the free kills there. Sycho Sid coming in with very low life, and only 3 members of Vulcan could respawn. They have regained control of this game.
All they need to do is regain control of those turrets. Right now, mid lane is really their only solace for finding a way to the base. 38 seconds and 40 seconds on to mandatory cloud, and Sycho Sid. We can see this is used by Cloud9 to go back, to reset. They know they don't need to pressure anymore. They're starting to get to where they wanted. And that's a scary point because this is where we said Vulcan wanted to be, his late game with Zuna.
About 10 minutes ago, you said we may get to see how Cloud9 plays the late game. And here it is, people. Yeah. They finally took the last outer turret there. High up top does finally get that perimeter one down. And they now have the Baron buff plus triple buff. Frozen Gauntlet. Iceborne Gauntlet Ezreal. We'll get it one of these days. Iceborne Gauntlet Ezreal coming down the mid lane. And Xmithie dodges the Q.
A nice dodge there, the blue suede shoes. You can see that Meteos is now back in that, I'm ready to go. My team's ready to come up behind me. They're feeling it again, and this is what High talked about. It's what you said, Kobe. They always go into fight because it's fun. They like to play when they're having fun. I think they're having fun again.
This is just a challenge getting behind in the early game. They decided to spice it up this time, and now they're going to pressure this outer turret.
Figured it would be like this. Once it's one turret for them, they were going to have the control. Vulcan is now playing a bit scared. They know they can't just engage. A small wave of minions in front of the turret is something they need to get cleared. Zuna picking himself up the Quicksilver Sash on top of the cleanse. He knows he is the one that needs to stay alive in these fights.
And because Vulcan have... Oh no, Sneaky!
He shifted the wrong way! Oh my gosh! Oh, Sneaky. Unfortunate.
Sneaky, please! Now Cloud9 obviously have to pull back off. They've lost their AD carry. Whatever kind of gauntlet he's wearing did not save him there. Arcane shifting into the front of the Vulcan team. Basically, we've seen both AD carries from each team throw this game.
That is, oh man, just a misplace of the mouse is how easy it is. Never even something he wanted to do. That was completely a disengage, but it did cost them 30 more seconds. It is costing them 30 more seconds, and Vulcan is on a tear down mid.
Yeah, because they still have this exposed inhibitor from the early game that they took down the turret. They can go force a 4 versus 5 here. Another 20 seconds left on Sneaky.
Good damage here. Trying to stop it for just a second. Those astronomical Howling Gales of LemonNation doing work, and they're going to get another turret out of this. How quickly it can swing.
There are no home guard upgrade here on Sneaky though, so when he does come out, it's going to take him a while to arrive to the rest of his team, who are still all Baroned up. This is still a 4 Baron buff team, Cloud9. They have Destiny available too. They could chase.
Dipping in and out of the trees, one going the other way. Looks like BloodWater, he will be able to connect with the team here. Hopefully Meteos doesn't see him trailing off. They get together, they get to safety, and they're going to walk by this dragon with the Destiny up.
Safety in numbers for Vulcan here. As soon as every time High pops off that Destiny, they turn into the flying V there, and they retreat back with Zuna as the front man.
High going down clear bottom lane. Everybody kind of resetting at this point. 42 minutes into this Cloud9 Vulcan game. The Black Cleaver now coming out. Extra penetration as well for Jarvan to come in, for Kog'Maw to come in. He almost has the last Whisper built, which is oddly enough coming to be one of his finalized items, or final items, as he goes towards that end game Kog'Maw.
Yeah, he's going for the last Whisper next, but he's already completed that Quicksilver Sash, which is in addition to his Cleanse Summoner spell that he's taken. So he'll be able to get out of not only the gold card when High teleports in again, usually focus him, but any follow-up stun either coming from Balls or Meteos.
I think, by statistics, one of our closest games, 49% for Vulcan, 51% for the Cloud9 fans, and it shows. Back and forth. 29-19 doesn't tell that story. 36 or 63,000 to 67,000 doesn't tell that story, and 7-4 in turrets. Everything though is being told by what the teams are doing. So sometimes you just have to say the statistics aren't proving anything right now.
And Vulcan have to react to those statistics too, because they need to change their playstyle. They don't have this huge lead that they had in the mid game. They have to have mandatorycloud playing a little bit more defensively. He can actually change his play style and start kiting for Zuna and peeling for Zuna, because they have to play more defensively now that they are on the back foot, and there's no member of Cloud9 that they can burst down if mandatorycloud goes offensive.
Clearing out wards, getting that Shurelias, no, just through Chalk Gate, Acceleration Gate rather, getting themselves into position here. You can be sure that BloodWater, as they move up slowly, going left and right, checking for wards on the sides. They're in the bush though, Ball's going through, using that right away, doesn't give Balls the initiation. He goes down immediately, Cloud9 did not want this. Sneaky getting hit up, the disengage, they only have 3 left, and this is looking grim, Kobe.
Xmithie, the MVP of that fight, he just caught Balls before he could get up his ult, and now he's going for Sneaky.
You cannot start your initiation with Kennen that far away. Your E is a pivotal rush through of every member to apply the shock. Sneaky goes down to Zuna in the end, and Sycho Sid is already in the base saying, let's go, guys.
They're already looking to end this game, and they've got plenty of time to do it. 44 minutes in, death timer's way too long. Vulcan going for the Nexus turret.
This is going to be real big for Vulcan. Definitely a needed win. Definitely needed momentum for the team. Vulcan playing an amazing Kog'Maw game. Everyone coming together to make this happen for Vulcan. The fans were behind him. The crowd is here, and the Nexus goes down in front of their eyes for Cloud9.
Congratulations to Vulcan. Well-deserved win right there. Very, very tough game. Couple blows by the AD carries on each team.
Oh my gosh.
But they do come out with the W.
There's the man himself, still yelling. I don't know if he still has a voice, if anything even projected from his vocal cords right there. But you know what? They deserve every bit of gratitude they're going to get for that game.
Yeah, and I just have to shout out Xmithie once again. There he is right there, Xmithie, and then mandatorycloud. But Xmithie, he was just a linebacker in that last team fight. He took out Balls before Balls could get in there with the slicing maelstrom. Went in with the QE, flag and drag, and then locked him up with the cataclysm. Just great, great play from Xmithie running interference.
So looking at some of the builds, looking at what some of these guys were able to get for themselves. BloodWater and Zuna had such a great strat in the top lane. We kind of saw it happen yesterday when it happened to Cutie Pie in the Dignitas game. He was pushed off, forced to flash over the wall. Sneaky was forced to flash too, came back to lane, and they punished him right away.
Yeah, I was talking about why did not Zuna and BloodWater flash over after him to get the first blood, but they took the safe win. They kept their flashes, and they just took the experience advantage that they had from forcing Sneaky back to base, and then returned with that mandatorycloud gank while the flash was still down for Sneaky. So they still ended up getting that kill eventually, and they made use of that minion advantage and that early 2-versus-1 discrepancy.
Kobe, I absolutely love this atmosphere. The return to the crowd for the players is something that drives their emotions tenfold. We see it happening. Zuna coming out, giving credit to the fans for helping as well, and saying, yes, we did get our late game Vulcan back. We figured out how to really pull it back together. And this is the Vulcan we saw climb the ladder at the end of the spring.
And no wonder they were excited coming out of that one. Cloud9 are the team to beat in the LCS. They only had 1 loss previous to this, and now Vulcan get to put a really nice notch on their belt, adding their names to CLG, the Cloud9 Killers.
Cloud9 finding their 2nd loss, and the win for Vulcan coming out very big. We're definitely going to get an interview with Vulcan to see what's going through their heads throughout the